Welcome back to Felicity Was Here. I'm Heather.
I'm Melissa.
And I'm Dr. Joe.
And today we're discussing Felicity Season 1, Episode 18, Happy Birthday. Welcome back, ladies.
Hey.
Hi.
How's everyone doing?
Great.
Good. It feels like so long since we've recorded.
It has been. Yeah, it's been
It has been.
bit.
We've had a little break. It's nice.
Mm-hmm.
Well, today we are, as we said, discussing Episode 18, Happy Birthday. So just as a reminder, last week on Assassins, Felicity and Noel officially broke up after neither of them could get over the other's dalliance with Hannah and Eli. Ben was also starting to party more with Lynn, and there was some distance starting to grow between him and Julie because of that. But this week, Carole comes back into Julie's life, who Julie, if you all remember, thought was her birth mother, while Ben picks up a gambling habit from Lynn. And Noel considers moving out of the dorm to get away from Felicity because he just can't stand seeing her all the time. It's very, very dramatic.
Poor little Noel.
And with that, the episode opens with Noel circling listings in a newspaper and accidentally bumping into Elena on the way. And she says, like, "Get out of the way, guy scum."
Yes.
And
love it.
And, Noel's like, "God, what's your problem?" And Elena says, "Felicity's my girl." And this whole like, "Oh, well, we both did something wrong" thing is bullshit because he started it with Hannah, which is all of it is 100% true. But Noel responds saying that, she should get her fill of picking on him now because he's moving. And this shocks Elena. It shocks us all because we're like, wait, what? What do you mean you're moving? So Elena then scurries off to ask Felicity if she's heard about Noel. And Felicity's like, "Oh, is this going to be another guy scum speech again?" Which I love that that's just like Elena's, it's like her argument that he's guy scum. But Elena says, no, it's not about that. He's leaving. He was circling listings in the newspaper. He had the classifieds. So that was a very 90s moment, too. He couldn't go on Craigslist and search the internet, even though I think Hannah was looking at apartments online. So I don't know why
I
he's
was just going to say that.
circling listings in the newspaper, but it was very
just
90s.
so he can be a dramatic baby in front of everyone. That's why.
And he's so mature. He's like, got to get the newspaper and look at the listings.
Yeah. But also, like, he's the RA. He can't just move. Like,
Can't split like that.
what? He's probably getting some, like, discount on his tuition by being an RA. And he's just like, I'm dramatically going to move.
I was wondering how he's going to pay for it because it didn't seem like his family was wealthy, as he mentioned. Like, he had to, get some aid to even attend. And I'm thinking, like the RA provides, I think, a discount with the dorm part of it, not like necessarily tuition, but the room and board part of it. So if he's going to ditch that, where is he going to come up with the money for an apartment in New York City? What? That's kind of wild.
Maybe he'll find another super old entrepreneur who also has no job but has like a mortgage and can give him a discount. I don't know.
There's probably a lot of those there.
Somehow Sean can afford that loft and he doesn't have a job. So it's TV magic.
That's something.
But what I thought was interesting, too, was that, like, we're getting close to the end of the year here. Like, he can't stick it out for one more month or so until the end of the school year. Like, we're really close. So I thought it was funny, too, that it's like, you got maybe one more month, bro. Just stick it out.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because then he would probably move home for summer break anyway, right? So
yeah.
Is he going to commit to a whole year lease in an apartment? That's so crazy. Unless he was just going to rent a little shoebox-sized room from somebody. But still, contracts. What are you thinking?
That said, I will admit, when you're in college, everything is like the end of the world, right? So like every breakup, every little fight, like everything feels like the end of the world when you're that young. So I can also see where it's like, oh God, I just can't spend one more minute in the storm because everything reminds me of her and she's right down the hall. And yeah, it's TV drama. But
yeah. I mean, I feel like that's more like a high school everything's the end of the world type of thing and not so much college, especially because he's a sophomore, he's not a freshman, and he's had some dating history before, whereas like she never has. I would have expected her to be a little bit more reactive instead of him out of the two of them. That's kind of interesting. But yeah, that's Noel for you.
Yeah. So then we do immediately get a slow-mo of Felicity passing by Noel's room as he's looking at the classifieds. So this kind of brings her distress that he might be moving. And I just wanted to say she looked really cute. She had like this little purple flannel on that was like buttoned all the way to the top. But it was 100% an outfit that I would wear right now. It was like cargo, baggy cargo pants. Like it's all very in again. And I just thought she looked really cute in that scene. So side shout out to the costume designer. But then we finally get another letter to Sally, but wanted to say we haven't heard back from Sally in a while. And I miss her voice and her advice and her knowledge. But Felicity is narrating to Sally, "Dear Sally, having never broken up with anyone before, is it normal to feel schizophrenic? She says she's furious at Noel for what he did, and then the next minute she's guilty for what she did." So as she is in her room, Meghan walks in. And Felicity tells Meghan that her parents left a message confirming their arrival. Meghan freaks out because apparently they're confirming their arrival tomorrow at noon. And Meghan's like mad at Felicity for delivering this message. And Felicity's like, "Well, I didn't invite them. Like, I don't know. They're your parents. What are you talking about?" Like, she's freaking out that her parents are coming. And then Meghan just storms out. So we actually get to learn a little bit more about Meghan in this episode, which is really exciting too.
I just want to add, I did not like the use of schizophrenic in her description of how she was experiencing her breakup. That's not cool, but I can see why they would have used it back then. I think now people would say something like, "Oh, you're so bipolar," or something, which is not cool to say stuff like that because people have disorders, obviously. So it's just kind of weird. That I wish if it was written today, I would be curious to see what kind of language they would use around that. Just, I don't know, just say like, "I feel like a hot mess."
Well, I was just going to ask you. What words should be used? What do you think?
Just something like, I don't know, like, "I feel like a dumpster fire," something like that. I don't know. I can't think off the top of my head, but just not something psych related, like an actual disorder that is very debilitating, like extremely debilitating.
And that's probably not of schizophrenia, just like having different feelings.
No, that was also annoying.
Just like having feelings. Yeah.
I was pissed on many levels. It's so not representing it accurately, on top of it just being like not a cool choice of words, but that's fine.
Could be like, is it normal to feel conflicted? Like she has these conflicting feelings. Yeah.
She likes to read. Use your words, girl.
She's probably in Psych 101 too, learning about these things.
She would totally do that. Julie would, I know.
Actually, I think that was her major on the show.
Probably.
If not music. I thought there was a psych thing in there for a bit.
Maybe it was her minor.
Yeah. So then we go to Julie's room where she, Felicity, and Elena are party planning for Julie's birthday. They're playing music really loudly, eating pizza. Everything's fun. They're planning for a party. And then Noel stops by to tell them to turn the music down. And then it's awkward as fuck because he then sees Felicity's in the room. And then it's like, oh, yeah, we can't be in the same room at the same time. But Julie invites him to her birthday party, which is going to be just outside of his room in the lobby of the dorm. And he says he will try to make it. And after he leaves, Julie then asks Felicity, "Oh, I hope that was okay that I invited him." And it's like, well, Julie, it's a little too late. Like, you already invited him. Like, hope it's okay. Well, even if it wasn't.
Elena never would have done that.
No, never.
She'd be like, "Yeah, we'll turn on the music, boy scum."
Yeah.
And then turn it up all the way.
Yeah. And Felicity says, "Oh, yeah, no, it's okay. I'm glad you invited him." Which, again, I'm like, yeah, right. Like, you're not okay with that, but whatever. And then we see Carole roaming the halls, and she stops by Julie's room as they're eating pizza and having fun. And everyone just kind of like stands up a little surprised, and Elena and Felicity leave to give them some privacy. Julie's obviously shocked, like, what are you doing here? The way we left things was, I'm not your mother, and okay, I'm quitting this internship because I joined because I thought you were my mother. So this is definitely a surprise. But Carole has brought her a birthday present and the truth. Carole says that she did a horrible, selfish thing. She denied being Julie's mother. And she said, "I should have taken you in my arms," and said, "Of course I am." And so Julie starts like laughing, crying, and hugs her and cries. And I remember being so shocked the first time I saw this. And even today, I'm just like, oh my God.
You don't think that's how it would go down? That doesn't sound
Just,
normal
like-
to you or what?
Like laughing and I mean like happy crying after finding out she's lied to your face. I don't
Yeah. Like, bitch, what?
Yeah.
I think she just so desperately wanted to fill that void, so...
Mhm.
Or she didn't even describe it as like a whole, like, wasn't it a question? And her question was
Question mark.
answered.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
so I think that overrode the feelings underneath of like, oh my gosh, you lied to me. I think that meant a lot to her that she did come out with the truth and that her question was finally answered.
I suppose. I thought it was too happy of a moment for what happened.
That's fair.
And I guess it is good. She knows that Carole's her mother.
Yeah, because that would have been such a huge dead end for her because she really, really believed it. And then where would she go from that point on if she was going to keep looking, which we didn't really see her kind of like rally and be like, okay, I'm going to find the real one this time. So, where would you go after that? That could have been so defeating and so deflating that you wouldn't even want to try after that. So I think that alleviated a lot of that heaviness that was probably left in the wake of that news. Like, no, I'm not. So it probably lifted all of that from her. Still unrealistic.
Yeah, but yeah, we didn't really see thinking through next steps after Carole said, I'm not your mother. So like,
Right, yeah, just dropped it.
did she decide to stop her search? Was it just like too traumatic that it was on pause and she hadn't thought about it? We like never really heard much after that.
Probably because the writers knew they were going to loop around and do
Yeah.
this. But I think if it had been a different kind of situation, if they weren't going to bring her back, like, yeah, we would have seen, like, okay, like, I got to get back in there and hire, like, another private detective or something, or, do some sort of search and keep going.
Yeah. Well, it gets worse here on out, but we'll keep going.
Yay!
And I will say, I mean, the episode title is Happy Birthday, and we know that it's Julie's birthday. So this feels like a very Julie-centered episode, and I was a little surprised that the open wasn't on Julie and her mother or her birthday or something, that it was around like Noel and his newspaper clippings.
Maybe so it's more of a surprise.
I guess, yeah. I just thought that might have steered the episode in a different direction because we've had opens where like Noel is the center, like drawing the line when he's doing his little RA therapy. And
That's
so I
true.
thought like having an open that was centered on Julie, I thought could have been cool for this episode since it's called Happy
Yeah.
Birthday.
Yeah, you're right. I think so.
But I get it's Felicity's show, so it has to be Felicity related.
No, that would have probably had a little bit more meaning and weight behind it if they did do it that way.
So then we go to Noel's room where Guy is in there using Noel's computer for some reason. Maybe he's like the only cool guy with a Mac on the floor, and so Guy wants to use it. But Guy is really upset that Noel is leaving. He says that this place will basically fall apart if Noel isn't the RA, and that Felicity's the one who diddled another guy. She should be the one to move. And I'm just sitting here like,
What?
and like, I'm just sitting here like, how about no one moves and you
Yeah,
all just get on with your life? Like, just,
Yeah, it's not a rule when you break up, like somebody has to move. It's
Yeah.
not like they had a house
Oh my
together and
God.
like they're divorcing and somebody's got to go. There's a dorm. It's a communal kind of living situation. Everybody can do their own thing. It's not that serious.
yeah. And Noel was off with Hannah, so Felicity can diddle whoever she wants.
Right?
Right?
Yeah, I don't think, does Guy have that piece of the story? Or
Probably
no?
not.
Yeah, I don't
Probably
think so.
not.
I don't think any of those dudes do. I don't think he leads with that when he's telling this story, this tale of woe.
Yeah. So yeah, then Noel is calling all about apartments that he saw in these listings, seeing if they're still available. And Guy tells Noel that what he's doing is extreme. That part I do agree with.
Glad somebody said it.
Yeah. But, Noel says that it's torture. On the one hand, he's hoping he doesn't see Felicity while also hoping he does see her at the same time. And then he says when he left with Hannah that night, he gave up the rights to any commitment he had with Felicity. And that really confused me because to me, it's like, now I can do whatever I want. But I'm like, but you leaving with Hannah destroyed your commitment to her. I don't know. The way he phrased it was really, really interesting and strange. Like he gave up the rights to any commitment he had with Felicity. I'm like, well, if you believe that, then like, why couldn't she go sleep with Eli? Like if there was no more commitment there when you left with Hannah, why are you still so butthurt about this? I don't know. I was very confused by his wording.
Exactly.
I think he was meaning it like he gave up the right to be in a relationship with her, which my mind was like, boy, that ain't a right. That's a privilege. What are you talking about, rights? you don't have any rights here, sir. This is a privilege to date somebody else. It's not the expectation. It's not something that's owed to you. So ease off there, buddy. I didn't like that from that perspective. But yeah, it was kind of worded kind of wonky.
But Guy says that he will miss Noel. Back at the loft, Julie's there, and she comes out of Ben's room wearing a very fancy dress, and Ben, like, the way he looks at her is very nice, and he's like, wow, like, you have a very nice dress on. Like, that is a very nice dress. And Julie says, I know, isn't it? She's apparently meeting Carole for dinner, while Ben is at the table looking like he's looking at some bank statements or bills or something. We're getting some, signals that finances are potentially not great. And she says she's not really nervous to go meet up with Carole. She's excited. And it took me a minute to realize that the dress was Carole's birthday gift to her. Did you all pick up on that immediately?
I assumed that it was.
Oh, okay.
I assumed it. I didn't.
I did.
I just assumed it, yeah.
Good. Y'all are smarter than me then. I don't know why it took me so long.
I watch a lot of TV. I'm really good at it.
Yeah, it just took, all of a sudden I was like, yeah, like, of course her dress is nice. She picked it out. And then I was like, oh, it's from Mom. Anyway. But then Sean comes down from his bedroom loft area wearing something that looks like a thigh master on his head. And he says that it's for headaches. This is, of course, his new invention. And Ben then gives Sean a partial rent check, but Dean and DeLuca isn't enough to cover everything, but he's trying to get another job. So he's hoping to pay Sean back in a couple of weeks. And then Julie tells Sean that his headache thing is a good idea. And so then Sean's like, oh, well, Ben, yeah, this girl, I love her. You have to get her something nice for her birthday. Forget about the rent. Go buy her a really nice gift. And Julie says, no, don't spend any money on me. But now Ben looks uneasy and obligated. And yeah, Sean, stop talking.
Awkward.
Come
Come
on.
on.
You don't put that out there because, yeah, like, you're all college kids. None of you make a lot of money. Like, don't put that pressure on someone.
Yeah, this adult doesn't make a lot of money. So what is he talking about?
Then at Felicity's room, she walks in and there are two people, like, straight out of the movie Get Out, sitting on Meghan's bed. It's like the beginning of a horror movie, I swear.
I love that description. I love that you said that. That's amazing.
I mean, isn't that what it looks like? That's what it looked like to me. Like, they're both just, like, sitting on the bed, like, straight up, like, oh, hello, like, welcome. Would you like some tea? It's just, it was really scary.
Yeah.
But yeah, she's not expecting these people. And she's like, oh, sorry. Like, she thinks she has the wrong room. And so she leaves. And then a second later realizes, no, that is, in fact, my room. So she walks back in and introduces herself to this older couple. And these are Meghan's parents, of course. And it's Walter and Faye. And so she's kind of just starts talking to them. And Meghan comes out of the closet wearing like a headband, a jumper, and these pearls, looking like she's ready to go to church. And Felicity blurts out like, oh my God, and starts laughing because we've never seen Meghan like this before. And I remember the first time I ever saw that episode, I actually didn't even think it was the same actress. Like, she looks so different. I was like, really is that what she looks like underneath?
And her shock and horror look on her face.
Side note about Meghan's mom. Do you recognize her, Heather? The lady who played Meghan's mom?
I feel like she's been in a bunch of stuff. I mean, I know she was on Buffy for an episode.
That's what I was, yes. Yeah. I always think of that Buffy episode. She plays, like, Buffy's mom's friend, Pat.
Evil.
She gets stabbed in the face with a shovel. Yeah. Just wanted to see if you remembered that.
Oh, yeah.
Dang, spoiler alert. Just kidding.
Oh, sorry. Sorry, y'all.
Another 25-year-old show.
Yep.
That's the one where she, like, puts on the mask, right? Some tribal mask.
Yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay. I do remember her from that. But yeah, I feel like she's a character actor that's in a bunch of stuff. It's like, I know I've seen her in everything, but yeah. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that's Faye playing a not dissimilar character from Buffy.
Yep.
Yeah. It's like the pretends to mean well, but you feel like something sinister is going on. So yeah, Walter invites Felicity to dinner, but Meghan's like, no, she can't come. She has plans, right, Felicity? Like, she's like, no, you cannot come to dinner with us. So Meghan goes up to Felicity and just kind of whispers like, you know my box? Well, I had to put my box on your side of the room. do not look at my box. If you open my box, I will kill you. And so as they're like deciding about dinner, Felicity pulls out the box and shows Meghan's parents about the box, saying it's her box. And she's joking around that she taunts Meghan with the box. It's all very funny about the box. And just like the glee that was in Felicity's face about the whole situation was just so priceless. Like after a whole semester of Meghan's bullshit, like she finally gets to pay her back. I just loved it.
I like the little shake she gave it. I'm like, you don't know what's in there. You could break it because it's such a mystery. We don't know what's in there.
Then we go to Epstein Bar where Julie and Carole are having dinner. It's very quiet between them, though. Not a ton of talking going on. Lynn stops by to deliver like the drinks or food and asks Julie if she wants to play on Friday. And he tells Carole like, oh my God, this one, she's amazing, gorgeous voice. You have to come and hear her. So Julie's just kind of like, thanks, Lynn. Okay, bye. Go away. You're embarrassing me. But then Julie just wants to get to know Carole more. So she asks Carole when she got married and, starts to tell her. But then Julie says she can't wait to meet Carole's husband.
Record screech.
Yeah. And Carole goes on to disappoint Julie yet again. She says that she's so proud of who Julie has become, but this has to stay between them. She says she never told her husband she had a baby before they met, and he doesn't know that they are together right now, and she doesn't know if she can ever tell him. Julie says, okay, but yeah, like in reality, what else can she say or do in that moment? She's like still processing everything. Yeah, this sucks. I hate it.
Yeah, it is really sad. She's just taking her scraps and that's a whole human, not a secret. Like a human is not a secret. So that's yucky. That's sad.
And Ben says this later, but it's like, what was the purpose of coming back into Julie's life if you're just going to still keep it a secret? So now you're going to continue to lie to your husband and keep meeting up with this person in secret? Like, it's crazy.
Yeah, definitely.
So then Felicity is back at the dorm, bumps into Noel in the elevator, and she tells him that she heard he may be moving. Noel's like, yep, okay, bye. So then later, Felicity tells Elena that she almost said something to Noel. And Elena says, well, it's good you didn't. What Noel did was wrong. And Felicity says that it's what happened between her and Noel. It's not like what happened with Elena and Blair. That Noel was honest with her and told her what had happened about Hannah. And Elena's like, wait, so that just makes everything okay? And Felicity says, no, nothing's okay, but punching Noel in the nose isn't the answer. And Elena says, it might feel good, though.
She's so silly.
I wish Elena had punched him for her.
I mean, I do think Elena is projecting a little bit of her own Blair stuff and like being burned by her boyfriend. But yeah, Felicity doesn't owe Noel anything in this situation. So it's a little bit of both things. So then at the loft, Ben is talking to Julie about her mom and the bomb that she dropped on her yet again, that she basically wants to keep Julie a secret. And Ben asks her why she thinks Carole came back. And Julie says, well, she said she thought she owed me the truth. And Ben's like, what, suddenly she's got a problem with lying?
Yeah. He's got a point.
And Ben's like, oh, well, you're more understanding than I am. And Sean barges in again and asks where he should be taking the librarian, Chloe, on the date. They went on their first date, and now he's going on a second date. And he says for him, second dates are tragedy. So he interrupts their conversation. But I think Ben has been the voice of reason for Julie, like bringing her back down to earth, like maybe think this through. You don't have to just accept whatever anyone's willing to give you. And Ben's been in a
tense his own parental
relationship with tense relationship with his own parents. So maybe he sees it from a different angle. But I'm glad that he still does push back a little bit on her, even though she can be very sensitive, which we all are. But yeah, because I think he cares about her and wants her to get everything that she wants and not just settle for scraps.
Well, yeah, and he's coming at it from the outside, like she's operating in emotion mind and he's more in rational mind. And it's like, it is good to ask these questions, like, yeah, what is that about? Just to be curious, if nothing else, like what's up with that? And my guess, if I was going to sit there and think about it a little bit, I think she told Julie more to alleviate her own feelings of guilt than like, I owe it to Julie to tell her the truth once and for all. I think it was eating away at her because she got confronted with it for the first time after 18 years. So she had to, make a decision. And I think it just made her feel guilty and she wanted to feel better.
Yeah, I think he does a good job. He's always like the voice of reason from the outside, like giving her that perspective from the outside looking in. So she's like, is a little more realistic about everything. But super mature of him in this episode.
At least that part.
Not so much the other stuff that happens with him. But
yeah, exactly.
That's the thing. He can be very, astute in some cases and then in others not.
Yeah, or like observant. When it has to do with somebody else.
Yes, when it's someone else.
Yeah, but because he can take a step back.
Yeah. That's so true for any of us though too, I think. It's always easier to spot somebody's, somebody else's blind spots. That's why it's their blind spot and we all have our own. So, yeah. But good for him for trying to back her up and be careful.
Absolutely. Then Ben goes to Epstein Bar where Lynn is working, and he's also listening to a college basketball game on his Walkman radio while he's working, and he's thrilled. He's celebrating because he just won 2 G's, like he's a gangster in Guys and Dolls. So he won 2 G's.
That's like $1 million for a college student. That's like a buttload of money.
I know. And it's G's.
Yes.
It's not $2, it's 2 G's. So yeah, Ben is just shocked at this. He's like 1,000, like G's as in thousands, like yeah, G's as in thousands. And Lynn calls up his guy because he made 12 G's last year, which also is a lot of money for the 90s and for a college kid. So he sees Lynn talking to his guy on the phone, and Ben, like, you can start to see the wheels turning in his head because he's got this financial issue. So Barry is Lynn's guy, and he says that he can hook Ben up with Barry. And Lynn's all about the peer pressure. He's like, "What? Oh, are you a buzzkill? No. Oh, you got to come out to this concert, and now you got to start gambling with me." Like, I don't know what Lynn's deal is.
I don't think he was pressuring him to gamble. I think he's pressured him to go out too late and all that stuff. But I felt like Lynn was trying to give him an opportunity in Lynn's mind, like not in the real world. I think he was trying to be a good friend. Like, hey, you can make some money. You don't want to.
A good friend getting you into gambling.
Well, not everybody develops a gambling addiction, for making a couple bets here and there,
I guess.
But this is my opportunity to squeeze in something. Brandon Walsh, a 90210, also developed a gambling addiction because he was betting on college sports too, I think. Maybe, I don't know if it was college sports or like sports, like national sports, but yeah. So there's another parallel there.
Really pulling hard for the 90210.
That was a whole arc. That was a whole thing. That's a real comparison. I didn't pull that. That was like a whole episode. And it gets brought up later too, because he struggles with it. Like, he really does have an addiction and he has to deal with that for the rest of the series. It was legitimate.
Is there a adoption storyline on 90210 where the mother, she tries to find him out?
Yes. No, I'm going to tell you right now, and I'm glad you brought that up because I didn't want to be the one who brought it up, but I'm glad now that you mention it. Here's my segue. Steve Sanders is adopted, and it was at the spring fling when he told Brandon about that because it was his birthday. He's like, "It's my birthday." He's like, "Well, happy birthday. Like, why are you so sad?" And he's like, "I'm adopted." So it was like, then he went and tried to go find his mom and stuff. It was like a whole thing. So yeah, I told you, 90210 watch so these other shows could run. I'm just going to leave that there. Thank you, Melissa.
All right. I'm just going to keep thinking of plot lines and asking you if there's any connection.
You don't have to think of it. Yeah, I'll tell you. I know it. It's all up here.
Was anyone's deepest, darkest secrets told on tape played for an entire dorm on 90210?
Keep them coming. I got them.
I'll keep thinking.
I mean, that's a lot of connections for now. So maybe we'll move on with Felicity.
No, I'm good. Thank you.
So yeah, Ben is considering gambling, but he doesn't pull the plug just yet. But Lynn's like, "Oh, I got you. I can hook you up with Barry. If you want in, you can get in." So then Julie goes to see Carole at work after her conversation with Ben. And Carole's super busy because she's a high-powered architecture executive. And she says, "Oh, Julie, this isn't a good time." But Julie's like, "Look, the terms of our relationship are weird. And it was weird how we left things at the bar." She's like, "I really like the clothes you got me." I think that's where I realized, I'm like, oh, that was the dress. She's like, "I really like the clothes you got me. But, we meet after all this time. We get along. It's the greatest. But I have to be kept a secret. Like, what's that about? And Julie tells Carole to think about telling her husband. But Carole says that's just not possible. Julie says, it seems like you're ashamed of me. Carole doesn't get to respond because a young girl comes in and says, Mom, are you coming or not? Julie kind of turns around and see it's obviously Carole's daughter. And again, they've really played up the resemblance factor here with like a very Julie type of hairstyle, like the clippy things and, you know, little ponytails that are bouncy. So then they just kind of say hi to each other too. So Julie meets her half, maybe sister. We'll get there. Yeah, they say hi to each other. She meets her sort of sister. And then the daughter just kind of leaves because Carole's going to come. And Julie says, look, Carole, like, I don't want to be kept a secret. But Carole says that that's all that she can offer. And then she leaves to go with her other daughter. And I'm like, wow, what a great birthday.
Cold-blooded.
Like, Carole chose to do all of this too on Julie's birthday, which is just like another punch to the gut, I feel like.
That's ugly.
So then in Felicity's room, she's starting to look at Meghan's box when Meghan then just bursts in with her parents, who all just went to 4 museums in 2 days, if you can believe it. 4 museums. Like, that must be a new record. Faye is so excited. She got in 4 museums in 2 days.
This sounds like a dream come
again.
true.
Yeah. I mean, that's what you do in New York, right? You read The Voice, you go to 4 museums in 2 days. So Meghan looks, again, like she's just come from the country club or church. She's got like this denim, I don't know, this like denim overall jumper thing and like a sweater wrapped around her shoulders. But she also looks like she's in pain just dealing with her parents. And Faye then asks Felicity if she likes art. And Meghan jumps in to respond, no, Felicity likes artists, mummy.
That was
And I'm like, oh,
That was so funny.
it was cold, but that was so savage. It was great.
brilliant.
And Faye tells Meghan, like, oh, why don't you show Felicity your new attire? And she holds up this new dress and everything. She's like, oh, it's darling. And Felicity says, oh my gosh, it's so you, Meggie. And again, they're just like playing with each other, and I absolutely love it. And so again, Meghan's parents invite Felicity out to dinner, but Felicity kind of like sees the pained look in Meghan's eyes, and she's like, oh, I wish I could, but I should go study. And she's like, Maggie's always telling me how much I should study, and I'm here for school. So it's great. She kind of keeps the con going. But Felicity does actually go to study in the lobby with Elena, but she kind of keeps eyeing Noel's door, waiting for him to come out, and is distracted, but he's not there. Instead, he walks in, and they start chatting to him, and he says that he found a new apartment, so it's really happening. He's moving, and so then he goes off to his room. So he's supposedly moving still. Then Ben is at Epstein Bar again with Lynn, who's working, and he's on the phone with Barry talking about the games that are coming up. And Ben asks Lynn, so what's the deal with this gambling? Lynn says, there's no deal. You want some, you got some. And he tells him that the Knicks game is looking really good right now. So Ben says, all right, he's going to put 100 on Chicago. I don't know how gambling works. So if someone says the Knicks look good, I don't know why you would put 100 on Chicago then. But yeah, I don't know anything about gambling. I'm like, why? Yeah, didn't make sense to me.
Yeah, I don't know anything. I didn't even know how to do the March Madness thing, so I super don't know about gambling either.
It's true. You're like, so what is a bracket?
What's a seed?
How do you pick these episodes? What happens then? Which is funny because, like, you went to a Big Ten school and it was pretty good at basketball. I thought, like, you would have just, like, absorbed it just from being around it, even if you didn't participate. I just think it's funny.
I went to one football game. With both of Melissa's brothers.
Oh, my gosh.
Melissa's brother who I was dating, or I don't know what at the time, I can't remember, but the oldest brother and his then girlfriend, now wife. And that day, I knew she was the one because he reminded me of the Brave Little Toaster, and she reminded me of the girlfriend in the Brave Little Toaster because she drive crazy. What? You don't have to tell anybody, but she was driving kind of fast. And in the cartoon girlfriend's driving really fast too. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is it. They should be married. And then they were. I called it on day one.
Oh my God.
I know.
Shout out to Melissa's sister-in-law in case she's listening.
She's not, everyone.
Okay, good. Because I said she drives crazy, but I meant it in like a really good spirited way.
Oh boy. Listeners, I'm sorry that my family has come up in this podcast more times than you guys probably would care to hear about, but here we are.
I can cut it.
No.
I think we're human. People get to know us on this podcast.
That's true.
Get to know the one football game I went to. Yeah. Maybe I went to one basketball game too. I don't know.
I think that's what they were good at. Basketball.
I don't know.
Yeah.
You tell me. Anyway,
Ben decides to put $100 on Chicago. And Lynn says, I tell you what, kick in another 100 and put it on New York. Because again, he said the Knicks were looking good. So put your money on New York and I'll cover you. Again, I don't know what all that means, but I think it's like Lynn will pay if they lose. And now Ben is putting in more money than he originally intended is probably the point. So Ben says, okay, but keep quiet about this. Basically, he's like, I don't want Julie knowing about this. So Lynn's like, yeah, no problem. Let's make it $300. I've got faith. So Ben agrees to that. And then he is back at the loft watching the game. He's super into it, like all amped up on the edge of his seat. Meanwhile, Sean is on his way, I guess, to like plan for or go to his date with Chloe. So Sean's like, oh, who's playing in the game? But Ben's like, sorry, hold on 1 second. Like he can't look away from this game. And then someone scores that Ben is excited about. So I'm guessing the Knicks scored and won the game. And he tells Sean, like, hold on, I'm going to go write you a check. So now he's going to pay off the rest of his rent with this gambling money. And Sean is off to his date, but Chloe calls and she cancels. She says that the computer card catalog crashed, which sounds fake. So Sean's very bummed. He says he's sorry, but, Sean's disappointed, but he's like, oh, no, it's fine. Card catalog crash. What can you do? Like, that's just how it is. So, like typical guys, they don't want to talk about their feelings and they're just, everyone's okay. Everyone's fine.
So immature, though. Like, oh my gosh. So annoying. Like, he's a great actor, though. Like, I love his portrayal of Sean. Like, that's what I meant.
That's how I am with Julia. I'm like, but Amy Jo Johnson played it great.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. That's true. Good job.
But yeah, so Ben got a little taste of gambling here, and he won. So I think that's how a lot of addictions start, like drugs too. Like the drug dealers, they give it to you for free, or like they give you extra or something to like get you hooked on it, and
yes,
you're screwed.
That is how it works.
If I don't know about sports, do you think I know anything about drugs?
I mean, that's what I see in the movies and TV.
The TV said.
So it must be true.
That's what happened on Euphoria when I watched it. Yeah. They gave her a sample of this like intense drug and then she was hooked.
That'll do it.
And there's a Buffy with the magic.
Oh, yeah.
When Willow goes into the dark side, there's a Buffy. What about 90210? There's got to be drugs on.
I was just going to say.
Got to be drugs on 90210.
I thought it wasn't allowed.
There's probably every season.
No drugs?
Drugs? Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
there was lots of drugs. Yeah.
Yeah, Kelly was addicted to coke.
Kelly had some cocaine, but before that, in the younger seasons, she had some issues with diet pills. And also, Euphoria was the name of a drug that Emily Valentine was using.
Oh, yeah.
And she was getting into some trouble. And I want to say, Brandon, he fell into some bad fortune that night because of Emily Valentine.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I don't know who any of those people are.
That was a mistake.
But that's a lot of drugs.
Oh, you will.
But yeah, there were some drugs. Oh, David, he goes off the rails too. He gets a full-on addiction too, before Kelly does. So that's why it was really interesting. And he fell asleep at the park and Aaron got lost. You don't know what that means. Don't worry about it.
Okay.
I think drugs was like a big topic in the 90s. I guess it still is today, but I feel like it's a little less like, I don't know. I don't want to say it's cooler to do drugs because kids, it's not cool to do drugs. I'm not here to say it's cool.
No. But it was really heavy-handed back in the day, like with the whole like DARE program and all that
DARE,
stuff.
exactly.
Yeah, it was like so in your face, and the show's like all the terrible things that could happen if you even like looked at a drug. Yeah, it was a big deal. So I could see that was probably in lots and lots of those shows back in the day, not just obviously 90210, but many.
And I can't think of, I mean, I know there's been so many storylines with drugs, but like the one that comes to mind about like abuse is I know probably one of Melissa's favorites.
Oh my God.
Saved by the Bell.
Absolutely Saved by the Bell.
That's what I was thinking you were going to say. I'm like, oh my God, that's it.
I'm so
God,
tired.
that
So
was
scared.
yeah. Oh my God.
And that was like, yeah, I'm so scared.
That was messed up.
That was like Ritalin
Mhm.
or something, right?
That was no. That was caffeine pills. That was not Ritalin.
Oh my God. It wasn't even like Adderall or something. Oh my God.
It was caffeine pills.
Alex P. Keaton got hooked on them too. In Family Ties, Alex P. Keaton, he was studying. He had the pressure to
Aw.
study, and he was taking some like no-dose type of things. Yeah, too. Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, it was a big deal.
That was caffeine.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
And now like 5-hour energies at every checkout line.
yeah,
Yeah.
different times.
Yeah. See, that's the kind of stuff. Yeah.
Nostalgia.
Anyway, we digress on addiction.
I think that's important though. That's the culture of the times.
It is.
Mm-hmm.
This is like a 25-year-old show. Like we got to talk about the culture.
Yeah. And I guess gambling, there were a few storylines too around that. But
Mhm.
yeah, so he's got a little taste now of gambling, and he's got, well, he put in 300, so I don't know what that means he made. 600 double? I don't know. I don't know gambling, but he's got a couple $100 now
Enough to
that he
cover
didn't have
rent.
before. Yeah, exactly. And later we find out buy a guitar. But so then at Epstein bar, Julie is playing open mic night, and we do see the Caroles there in a booth watching her. And the song that she plays is just so perfect for the moment. I think it's also one of Amy Jo Johnson's original songs.
Yes.
And if you just like listen to the lyrics, again, I'm glad that they were able to keep her music in the show. I feel like you kind of have to because she's literally singing it. But it was just so perfect for the moment with her mother. And yeah, it definitely makes me tear up a little bit. So Carole goes up to her after she's playing, and they sit down together again, and Carole starts to explain herself, and she says, when I tell you like what's going on, you'll understand. And I'm like, doubt it. But Carole says that she was 17 and he was the first person she was ever with and got pregnant, and she never told him. He never knew. She said she went away that summer and she didn't want to see him when she got back. He was studying abroad while she was dealing with being pregnant and giving birth. She says her parents were super supportive as long as she gave her up, which I'm like, is that super supportive? You know, that's like, that doesn't seem supportive. That seems like you have to do this if you want our support. That's conditional. But so then she says after college and grad school, she ran into him again, her father, and he had grown up. They started dating. And she married him. Your father is my husband.
Wow.
Again, bomb dropping. I was shocked the first time.
Did not see
Julie's
that.
shocked.
Mm-mm.
Yeah. It's like, wait, and you feel like you can't tell him when you married him and that's his kid. It's just, yeah, it's mind-blowing.
I mean, that would be a really, 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 really big thing to tell somebody after that amount of time. Can you imagine how mad he would be and how horrified he would be? Like, you had a whole kid and didn't tell me about it. Like, I have a whole daughter out there, like, just never knew she even existed. That's so nuts.
Yeah, and it's just crazy that she did wait that long. Like, once you got back together, I don't know how you hold on to that. And
Yeah.
I don't know. If I were her, I might also resent him a little bit because he can go off and study abroad and just be totally oblivious and not know any of this happened. And meanwhile, she was dealing with this huge thing. And like, yeah, she didn't tell him, but like, he doesn't, that's his privilege as a man. Like, he doesn't have to know. He can do whatever he wants. And so like for her to have gone through all of that without him and then not tell him once they got back together, like I might be a little resentful too.
Yeah, that's wild.
Like, it's just like, you don't know this whole piece of me that happened because of you. It's just, it's crazy.
It is crazy. But yeah, I would be so mad if I was him and then all of a sudden out of nowhere, like, oh, by the way.
So yeah, like I understand in the sense of like why she doesn't want to tell him because she's waited so long.
Yeah,
and has
exactly.
kept it this
She should have definitely done it 18 years ago.
And it also doesn't make it right for her to keep Julie a secret now. So yeah, Julie's shocked too, and Carole obviously was afraid of what he would say, and said she was ashamed of listening to her parents and giving her up, I guess. And so now Julie actually like comes to her own defense, and she says, I want to meet him. He's my father. Her daughter is her sister. So yeah, it wasn't just her half-sister she saw in the office.
Exactly.
That's her full-ass sister.
Yeah, that's big.
And yeah, and she's like Carole, like, it's not just Carole's life that's being impacted here. Julie's life is being turned upside down too. And she says that she can't, she just can't believe her. Like, I can't believe that you're doing this. And she gets up and walks away. And I am super proud of Julie in that moment for like finally standing up for herself and being like, I get if that's the boundary you want to set, fine, but like I deserve more.
Yeah.
And I'm glad she says that.
Absolutely.
So now we go back to Noel's room again, and Richard stops by complaining about his radiator, but Noel doesn't give a fuck. He's like, I'm out of here. He's putting orange tags on all of his stuff, including the magic 8-ball, which again, I'm so sad because that was like back in better days.
Yeah.
Things were happy. And yeah, Richard's like, what's with all the orange stickers and stuff? And Noel shows him his resignation letter. And Richard's like, what? You can't leave? Like, who am I going to complain to? And Noel's like, well, not my problem. You're going to have to complain to someone else. And Richard's like, but I like complaining to you. And this was another thing that didn't make sense. I was like, why does Noel have to sell all his stuff? Like, he's moving to a new place. He's
because
not
he can't afford it, probably. Because he's got to
afford what?
the rent.
He already owns it.
No, like the rent. Like he's trying
he's trying to raise
like a
money.
garage sale
my
of
God.
sorts, so he can help finance his new life as an independent apartment liver.
The 50 cents he'll make on the magic 8-ball will pay for his rent.
I know.
But I was like, it's not like he's selling all of his worldly possessions and going backpacking through Europe.
Yeah.
Like, he's moving into a new apartment. He has space.
Yeah. If anything, he'll have more
If
space.
he's renting a room, though, it might be smaller. No, I don't know. I think it might be smaller than his dorm because the dorm rooms are outrageously big.
That's true. They are.
And he had a single, so like, yeah, his apartment might be smaller than that. Like his actual room.
He won't.
His
There's
apartment.
no room for the 8-ball.
I'm like, anything of value is going to belong to the dorm, like the bed and the furniture, and he can't sell that. So I'm like,
That's
he's
true.
going to make 50 cents off of his CDs. Or maybe he'll sell
Yeah.
his Mac, but I doubt it because he loves that thing. That's the true love of his life.
Yeah.
So yeah, as Noel is, doing his little yard sale, Felicity leaves her room and passes by his door and sees the yard sale sign on Noel's door and looks sad and disappointed. I also used to like this Noel RA stuff being funny, and like it wasn't really any comic relief in this episode.
yeah.
Like I think the Meghan stuff was the comic relief, but the Noel stuff was not. Like normally the RA and resident banter is funny. And it
Silliness,
wasn't
yeah.
this week. Yeah.
Yeah.
Then in the mail room, Julie and Felicity run into each other and they're kind of like, oh, how's things with your mom? And Julie says, oh, things with Carole are weird, but we'll talk later. So Julie runs off and Walter, Meghan's dad, comes up to Felicity and tells her that him and Faye are concerned. Felicity's a little confused, like, what about what? She thinks like, oh, they're concerned about Meghan being, a Satanist or something, but no.
Yeah.
He says, like, after Felicity talked about her box, they became curious. He says, I'm not proud, but we looked inside the box. He says, would you like to explain? And, Felicity's like, what's in the box? You looked in the box? He's like, yeah, it was shocking. And they just don't want this negative influence on their daughter. Felicity, of course, doesn't know what's in the box. And she's like trying to goad it out of him too and like ask questions to maybe get some more clues. Like, oh, what did you think of what was in the box? It was shocking. So she's like, okay, well, I'll throw it away. And Walter says, I just don't see how you can do that.
That made me laugh so much. Like, what is it?
That's so interesting.
So yeah, he tells her to consider what we talked about and know that we know what is in that box.
So ominous. It's like she probably feels like she's in trouble because she's such a goody-goody, even though it's not even her stuff. But shout out to J.J. Abrams. Did any of you see his TED Talk called The Mystery Box?
No.
I recommend everybody watch it. And it talks about that concept of something being a mystery. So like kind of like Lost, like you never know what the hell's going on the whole time. And with her box, you don't know what the hell's in it. And it comes from his love of magic and his grandfather. And it's just really, really cool backstory to mystery and wondering. And it's really cute and funny.
Does he have like a mystery box in everything he writes?
I don't know, but he's got his own mystery box that he never opened that he bought when he was a kid from the magic store place. And it was a mystery box and you could buy it for, I don't know, some cheap amount of money because it was back in the day. and he just never opened it just to preserve the mystery of the mystery box.
Oh,
I think
that's
that's really
fun.
cute.
That is cute.
Yeah, so it reminded me of that's probably where Meghan's box came from, because
Mhm.
of his own personal mystery box.
Yeah. Any guesses as to what's in her box or any theories of your own?
It's really confusing because she can't throw it away. Like, it's so
Yeah.
weird. Like I think somebody's trapped soul or something. It has to be something like that. Something spooky like
It's
that.
Pandora's box. All the souls and
Yeah.
misery and whatever of the world is released when you open it. So then we go to a restaurant where Julie is barging into this restaurant where we see that Carole and her kids are eating at a table. And Julie's just kind of watching them eat at this table. And we see the actor Bradley Whitford sit down at the table with Carole and the kids, clearly playing Carole's husband and Julie's dad. And it's also really cute because
Yes!
Bradley Whitford was Jane Kaczmarek's real life husband at the time. They're not together anymore, but like they were
Oh.
married in real life at the time. And that I loved that for casting. It was really cute.
I love that. That's so cute.
Even though Julie doesn't look like him, but there was enough of the resemblance with Carole that's okay.
I'll take it. I'll let it pass. Let it slide.
But it looks like Julie was planning on maybe going to approach them and like, surprise, I'm your daughter, while they're eating dinner at this restaurant in front of all these people. But I think she just sees like how happy they are all together and maybe just realizes that's not a good idea. And she second guesses herself and leaves and goes back to her room. And we then see her call her adoptive parents. I don't want to say actual parents. That's probably not the right terminology. So
I feel like it is like her
Yeah.
real parents, like
Yeah.
the real
Yes.
ones, like the ride or dies. Like,
yeah.
that's who can make you feel better.
And yeah, and we can kind of overhear them talking on the phone, and they wish her a happy birthday, and they both say that they miss each other, and she's crying because she's obviously upset about everything that's going on with her birth mom. But yeah, I think it showed that adoptive parents can be like your real parents and the ones that have taken care of you and raised you, and they still love you unconditionally. And in that moment, they were more supportive to her than the, biological birth mom. So it was very sad, but I think it was also a beautiful moment.
Oh, yeah. That was a really sweet scene. I was like, oh, yeah, she still has these two amazing people in her life that are worth it.
And can, make her feel better when she's really, really sad and disappointed. So then in the lobby, party prep for Julie's birthday is underway, and they are really going all out. There's like banners and balloons. It's like that first dorm party all over again. They apparently have way more friends than we've seen. Like it looks like just the small group at Thanksgiving, but like the whole dorm is coming to this party for Julie's birthday.
If it's in the lobby, anybody can walk into it, I guess.
I know, but like, does everyone's birthday get this kind of treatment in the dorm? It's just funny.
It's a great question.
So Noel is hanging a banner, and Felicity's kind of standing at this bottom of the ladder, or holding the ladder or chair that Noel is up on while he's hanging this banner. And she tells him, she's like, oh, I saw you're giving all your stuff away. And he says, yeah, I want to take as little as possible with me. Like, okay, he's going minimalist. So she asks him when he's moving, and then is basically like, okay, well, have a good move. So she's really trying to force a conversation here, and it's really awkward. Very typical Felicity, like trying to force people to do things or feel certain things that she wants in that moment, and not just like give them space if that's what they need. Like if he wants to leave, I guess just let him leave, Then we see a little bit later, everyone's partying in this lobby area, and Lewis is back and tells Noel that the whole community is going to miss him. So the word has gotten around that he's leaving. And then we see Ben is dancing with Julie, and we see Felicity staring at Noel from across the room. And then off to the side, Ben gives Julie her present, which is a guitar pick. And she's like, oh, thank you. He's like, no, that's not it. And he pulls out a full-on guitar for her. And he's like, it's not brand new, but the person at the shop said it was blah, blah, blah. It's really great. And it's going to get better with age. And Julie says, there's no way you can afford that. But he lies and says that his dad sent him some money. Even if that were true, is that the best use of the money? That you're broke and you're buying her a guitar. It's so sweet, but I'm just so mad at Sean for like making him feel like he had to do this. And now he's also lying to her. And it's just, it's sweet. But like intentions were good, but not not a good result.
What a mess.
So Felicity and Elena are together, and Richard kind of comes up to them and says, oh, it's a bummer about Noel, but I got his watch. So he's now stoked and is fine with Noel leaving because he bought his watch for really cheap. So Elena tells Felicity as she goes over to talk to Noel to stay proud. And so Felicity pulls Noel aside into his room, and he's sitting on the bed. She's standing up in front of him giving this big speech that harkens back to the pilot when Noel gives the big Noel speech to Felicity. And she tells Noel not to go, that it'll disrupt everything, that he's the linchpin of the entire organization of this storm. And she says, we need you to stay. You're a good RA. And then says, this place is huge, and if you move somewhere else, well, I don't know what we are or what we're going to be or what we were, even what we want, but there's just something unresolved here. And whatever the resolution, if we decide to never talk again or to start over and try one more time, if you leave, we probably won't resolve it at all. So don't go. And so, yes, this was the big speech from Felicity. And I do love that that's a callback to the pilot. I just think it's funny that it's like one episode after they both just decided they can't forgive each other, that now Felicity's like, I don't know where this is going to end up and if we're finished or if we're not. I'm like, didn't you just last week say that like you can't forgive each other for what you did? So it's a little fast, but yeah.
I'm curious how much time passed by in their world.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I guess, I don't know. I was trying to think when Fugue happened, but that's well after the first break. Yeah, I don't know. So then they both come out of Noel's room and it's time for cake. So Ben kind of like gets a cup to do cheers, and Ben says he's not good at making speeches, but he says, happy birthday, Julie. So they all cheers. She blows out the candles on her cake. So now we see that Felicity goes to get some more punch, but there's no more cups. And then out of the corner of the screen, Meghan comes up and hands her cup to Felicity. She's back in all of her gothic attire, though. And this cup is almost like a peace offering. It's like, oh, you did me a solid for like covering for me with my parents. You can take this, which also reminds me of just last week with the Jell-O. She was like, I'm not giving you this Jell-O. This is my Jell-O. Like she had to be threatened with a Nerf gun to give up her Jell-O, but now she's like willingly giving her this solo cup.
That was a huge gesture from her.
Yeah. So that was a big deal.
But do you see what she did immediately after that?
Yeah. She stole Richard's cake.
Yes! She had to balance the universe out and get it steal something from somebody else. I love it.
That I'm okay with. I like that.
Yeah. So then we close the party with Noel eating cake in the corner, and he sees Felicity across the room, and he actually smiles at her, and she smiles back. So maybe there's possibility that they could mend things and at least become friends, if not anything more. And then she kind of looks off into the hallway and sees Ben and Julie are off together alone dancing, and they're smiling and happy. And so that's a very nice ending to the episode that was actually kind of emotional and intense. So that was happy birthday. That was Julie's birthday.
Yeah, it was a great time. I had a blast. Best birthday ever. Oh my goodness.
I mean, again, I do like that there was this found family aspect too. Like her birth mom disappointed her, but she still had like the support of all of her friends at the end of the day, and her adoptive parents through the phone call, and then this birthday party. So she still had a good support system, which I appreciate.
Yeah. And I want to make an update from earlier. David did make a speech after his friend accidentally unalived himself with a pew-pew, because gun violence was a whole thing back then. You know, it was like an accident kind of thing. And
Still is.
Yeah.
Back then, I'm like, oh, still
no,
is.
but it was more like, don't play with the gun you find in the house type of thing.
Yeah.
Like that, I felt like that was more whatever. So that happened, and he was talking about how guilty he felt about that, and he did flip the switch, and the school did hear him say that stuff. It was like a really deep personal thing about that loss and how guilty he felt about it, because he had been ditching him to go hang out with the cool older kids. And it was like a whole thing. So some vulnerability did get exposed through the DJ.
This was Luke Perry or who?
No, Brian Austin Green's David.
Okay.
David Silver.
Mr.
Yeah.
Megan Fox, right?
That's the one.
Former
Mr. Megan Fox. Yeah.
Whatever. You know who it is. You know who we're talking about.
You know
I know who that is. I know who Sharknado, right?
No,
That is Steve Sanders.
That's another one. I'm sorry. I don't know 90210.
You're going to have to get a crash course.
Is that Ian Ziering?
That's the one.
Yeah.
You
Okay.
got it.
Okay.
See, you know his real name.
I know real
Okay.
names. I don't know the characters of the
I
show.
like that. I like it. I can.
I'll
dig that.
try. I'll try and learn after we get through this season of Felicity.
Sorry, I wanted to give a little shout out to Lynn, the actor of Lynn.
Dash Myhoff or Myhoff? Myhoff. Yeah.
Whatever. Dash. Yes. He was also on an episode of Grey's Anatomy, so there's like a whole like little Grey's Anatomy universe brought
Felicity to Grey's pipeline. Wow.
Yes. I don't recall the episode, but I was like looking at his work like on IMDb, like what else was he in? Because I feel like I've seen him like a whole bunch of other places. That's just like what's his deal? And then I saw like just one random episode of Grey's Anatomy sprinkled in there.
I was actually thinking that a good, not really a reboot, but like continuation of Felicity would be Felicity at, her age now, but like as a doctor, and it would be like a medical drama. Felicity, like a Grey's style, but like her now. Like I would love that as like the Felicity reboot is like Dr. Porter, MD. Yeah.
Oh, that's an idea.
Okay, I would watch that.
And if we can't get that, then maybe she can be a guest star on Grey's too, and I'll start watching that show again for her.
No.
No.
Need to be on that trash.
That's true. It's true. Well, our hate counter this week was 12. There was a lot of sulking and not enough talking. And yeah, the adults like Carole, they don't say hey, so there wasn't enough of that.
Did you have an angsty away message?
I didn't, and I should have.
In a Ben's hottest moment?
Oh my God, how did I forget that?
What the hell?
We're slacking.
We're rusty.
We're slacking.
We've been off too long.
I told you. It's because we haven't recorded in so long. Okay. Obviously, Ben's hottest moment is the birthday party when he gives the toast and he's all cute and then they're dancing. I like the dancing in the hallway. Yeah.
The dancing was really cute.
No angsty stuff coming to mind yet.
No, like I wouldn't quote anything with Carole and Julie. I don't think that would have resonated with me personally as a college kid or a high school kid.
Maybe one of Noel's lamentings.
Yeah, but like he didn't even say anything that like poetic. I don't know. I guess.
He said it's torture to see her. It's torture to like not see her, but it's torture to see her kind of thing.
Maybe it would actually be Sean. Second dates are tragedy.
Okay, I could get that.
I could see doing that as a little middle schooler.
And I think my little gimmick should be 90210 callbacks.
Yes.
There you go.
The connection.
My little universe connections.
Great. We all have our gimmicks now.
Yeah.
We got a thing. And again, we didn't get a response from Sally. Like she's normally the one that I like to quote.
Mm-hmm.
I got no quotes from Sally.
Yeah, that is a bummer.
Where'd she go?
Felicity's just got to grow up and spread her wings, and it's like she can't rely on Sally's advice anymore. She's got to muddle through and figure it out.
Training wheels are off.
Ugh, what a nightmare.
Maybe my away message would be Felicity likes artists, mommy.
That was good. I
Not
love
angsty, but God, that was such a good line.
It wasn't angsty, but what's that? Savage. It was savage.
Yeah.
So that's close enough to angsty.
Read her like you wouldn't believe. Alrighty, well, I think that wraps up. Happy birthday. Thanks everyone for joining us again this week. We'll be back next week with the next episode. Talk to you all later.
Bye.
Bye.
Felicity Was Here is produced, written, and edited by Heather, Melissa, and Dr. Joe. You can find us on Instagram and TikTok at Felicity Was Here Pod. If you're enjoying the pod, please leave us a review and help us spread the word. We appreciate you and would love to hear from Felicity superfans like us. So send us your feedback, ask us your burning questions, or just say hey at felicitywasherepod@gmail.com. We may even read your note in a future episode. Talk to you all next week.